Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to play through all 7 chords of the G-flat Ionian mode on the guitar, so that when you play or write a song in G-flat Ionian, you already know where to find these chords on the fretboard. And in the process, you're also going to see how these chords are formed and why they sound so good. Okay, so to start, these 7 chords are all derived from the G-flat Ionian mode or the G-flat major scale, which sounds and looks like this. The notes in this pattern are G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G flat. Starting on the 4th string, 4th fret, and moving up to the 2nd string, 7th fret, for example, the pattern sounds familiar, right? And we can refer to it using scale degree numbers as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, rising up the fretboard, these are the same 7 notes that appear in different positions and octaves, although it's just the same notes repeated. That is the same subset of notes that we pick out from the chromatic scale, which includes every possible note in music. The G-flat Ionian mode is just 7 of these notes repeated up and down the fretboard. So we could play it down low, or in the middle range, or up high. Now, to create chords from this pattern, all we have to do is combine every other note in groups of 3, starting on each respective scale degree, to create 7 distinct harmonies. To illustrate how this works, here's a table that shows 2 octaves of the G-flat Ionian mode along the top here, or the G-flat major scale, and then below that are the 7 chords that stem from this pattern, where each one starts on a different scale degree and combines every other note to form its own harmony. The major 1 chord, or the chord shown by a Roman numeral 1 here, begins on scale degree 1. The 2 chord, labeled by a Roman numeral 2, begins on scale degree 2, and so on. And if you look closely, in each chord, the first and last notes are separated by the interval of a 5th, which is why these notes sound and look related, why they're so harmonious together, because of their close connection in the circle of fifths. So, for example, G flat and D flat are separated by a 5th, A flat and E flat are separated by a 5th, B flat and F, again, are separated by a 5th, etc. And then the middle note in each chord is what gives it an especially distinct sound. In this first chord, the G flat major chord, B flat is 2 whole steps, or a major third above G flat. And so these 3 notes, G flat, B flat, and D flat, form what's called a major chord, represented by this capital Roman numeral 1, where the capital signifies that it's major. In this second chord, A flat minor, C flat is only a minor third above A flat. So these 3 notes, A flat, C flat, and E flat, form what's called a minor chord, represented by the lowercase Roman numeral 2, where the lowercase means that it's minor. And all of the other chords are also either major or minor, except for the 7th chord, which is made up of a minor third and a flatted 5th. These are 2 minor third intervals that combine to give it a weaker or diminished sound, which we signify by writing a little O next to the numeral. So this is how these 7 chords are constructed, by combining every other note of the G-flat Ionian mode. And now that we've looked at the theory of building chords and how they're labeled using numerals, let's look at how to actually play them on the guitar. Here we have the G-flat Ionian mode highlighted on the fretboard, and to the right is the same note pattern in a circular formation with scale degrees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, we just build each chord by starting on each separate scale degree and then combining every other note. G-flat major, the major 1 chord, is made from notes G flat, B flat, and D flat. So combining those notes, we can play the chord like this, or as a full bar chord on the 2nd fret there. That's the G-flat major chord. Or we could also find these notes up high. So for example, we have, again, G-flat, B-flat, and D-flat, which we can combine to play the chord like this, or again, in this position. It's all the same chords, just different positions on the fretboard in standard guitar tuning. Then we have the A flat minor chord, the minor 2, which is formed from notes A flat, C flat, and E flat, which we can play like this, or as a full bar chord across the 4th fret. We could play it down low, position and in other positions along the fretboard. Then the minor 3 chord, B flat minor, combines notes. We have B flat, D flat, and F, which we can play like this, or as a full bar chord across the 6th fret, like that. We can also play it down here as a bar chord on the 1st fret. It's the B flat minor chord, and again, we can play it in other positions. Then we have the C flat major chord, the major 4, which is made from notes C flat, E flat, and G flat. So we could play the chord like that, or down here is a bar chord on the 2nd fret. We can also play it in this position. And again, these are just different permutations or fingerings of that chord. Then we have D flat major, the major 5 chord, made from notes D flat, F, and A flat. So we can play it down here, or we can move up to this bar chord on that fret to play that chord in that position. And again, you can find different fingerings of D flat, F, and A flat to play the D flat major chord. Then we have E flat minor chord, the minor 6th, which is made from notes E flat, G flat, and B flat. So that is the E flat minor chord that we could also play in this position, E flat minor, and so on, up or down the fretboard. And then finally we have the F diminished chord, or the diminished 7 in the G flat Ionian mode, which is a combination of F, A flat, and C flat. So it has kind of a weaker, darker sound that we could play like that, or we could take the A flat down here and combine with C flat and F to play that chord in various positions along the fretboard. So by combining every other note of the G flat Ionian mode, 7 distinct harmonies are formed that all sound good together because they stem from the same source pattern. And again, the G flat Ionian mode itself sounds like this, with each note played in sequence. And when we play the 7 chords in order, major 1, minor 2, minor 3, etc., it basically sounds like the same pattern, but fleshed out. Together, these chords give us a complete set of harmonies we can use to compose different chord progressions in G flat Ionian. By moving back and forth between these chords in different patterns and arrangements, we can come up with some interesting sounds. For example, we might start at the G flat major chord, major 1, and then move to the major 4 chord, C flat major, then pass through D flat major, the major 5 chord, before returning to G flat major once again. Or we could move through any of the other chords in this mode to create a lot of other progressions too, like the popular major 1, major 5, minor 6, major 4 progression. Etc. The options are nearly endless using just these 7 chords, which is beautiful. And with all of the different inversions or finger positions up and down the fretboard, you can create a lot of cool sounds. Now, obviously it takes some practice to move your fingers between these different positions to get a feel for that. But once you can understand and see the logic, you really can get a feel for it pretty quickly because it's all just patterns. Now, to help you get a feel for each of these patterns, to really understand them, I'm going to show you a couple of diagrams next that you can use to pause the video, take a screenshot of each, and then refer to at your own pace as you practice these chords on the guitar. This first diagram again shows the 7 chords of the G flat Ionian mode in a table format, which shows how each harmony is derived by combining every other note of the major scale. And then below that is the fretboard with all of the possible positions for playing the G flat major chord, or the major 1 in this mode. And then these diagrams show the note patterns and finger positions for A flat minor, the minor 2, B flat minor, the minor 3, and C flat major, the major 4 chord in G flat Ionian. And then these diagrams include D flat major, the major 5, E flat minor, the minor sixth, and F diminished, or the diminished 7 chord in this mode. And then this diagram shows all of the same chords, but in 3 different ways. At the top, in a circular formation, it illustrates how all of these patterns form an endless ring of harmonies. And then in the middle, it shows how they're all laid out in different positions on the fretboard. And then at the bottom, it shows these harmonies in chord diagrams that are more traditional, where the numbers represent the fingers used to press each note. And really, these are just a few of the finger positions that are possible for each chord. So these are the chords of G flat Ionian on the guitar. Let YouTube know if you think this is a good one, and join the conversation below. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing, my home on the internet is mycolormusic.com. That's my hub. And YouTube is my current favorite. When I'm not here, I'm typically over at Instagram at MikeGeorge360. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.